Good to be with you guys. We're following the breaking news out of Los Angeles. I will bring that to you in just a moment. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Tony Katz. I'd appreciate that. My name is Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. It's a radio show. We do the live stream here. I'm glad you're with me. We do have a lot to get to. Let's get to it. We're following the breaking news the very best we can. Taking a look to see if there may be some press conference from local authorities. An explosion in Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Police Department bomb squad arriving on scene of a reported explosion. This explosion involving 3 sheriff's deputies. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. 833-468-8669. 833 Tony. This took place a little bit before 7:30 a.m. local time. That'd be 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So from as I'm speaking, a little more than an hour and a half ago. As is reported, this took place at what is known as a training center, BISCAILUZ. I am not sure of the pronunciation there. Biscaylis Training Center, killing at least 3 sheriff's deputies. Now, this is the initial reporting. I have this both from Fox News and News Nation. These numbers can change. Other information can come out. Deputies were moving ordinances on the training facility property. This is brutal. Right now, we know that there have been injuries. The facility was evacuated according to LA County Fire. FBI in Los Angeles is responding as well. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, saying that she just spoke to the U.S. Attorney about what appears to be a horrific incident that killed at least 3 at a law enforcement training facility in Los Angeles. Our federal agents are at the scene, and we are working to learn more. Please pray for the families of the sheriff's deputies killed. That from the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. So this is where we're at right now. An event like this happens, we ask questions. We certainly have seen violence in Los Angeles. The mind can wander. We're not interested in wandering minds. We're interested in data only. This is what we have right now. Images of LAFD fire department on the scene and others, but not any video of any explosion that took place. Don't see anything of any material consequence, meaning I can't see where this may have taken place, as there are shots and live shots of the facility in question. When these things, when more information is available, one can assume that there's going to be a press conference about how this happens. I mean, accidents do happen, but I would have make the assumption, not having been in law enforcement, that accidents like this are incredibly rare. The facility is home to the Sheriff's Special Enforcement Bureau, according to the Los Angeles Times, and the Arson Explosive Detail. As more information comes about, I'll get it to you. This was all just breaking before we took to air. I wanted to get that information to you as quickly as possible. Also, I have much more on President Trump and the instructions to Pam Bondi, specifically regarding the Epstein files. I have got that story coming up, and the madness of the Wall Street Journal. A story that is simply impossible to believe. So I've got that coming up as well. That main story that you'll be seeing on your social media feeds absolutely everywhere is that 3 are dead in Los Angeles. This at a training facility for the Los Angeles sheriffs. 3 sheriff's deputies killed in this explosion. As is reported, they were moving ordinances around. Was it a training exercise? This we don't have the information for as of yet. When I have it, you will have it. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, confirming that it appears to be a, quote, horrific incident that killed at least 3 at a law enforcement training facility in Los Angeles. Our federal agents are at the scene, and we are working to learn more. Please pray for the families of the sheriff's deputies killed. That's the latest. Seems to be, as reporting goes, an accident and nothing more than that. When there's more information, I'll bring it. In the meantime, wait till you hear what the Wall Street Journal has done. And I'm curious about how long the list is of people who have canceled their subscriptions. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Yeah, a little early in the break there, guys. Welcome to the show. Good to be with you. I needed to get that out first. I mean, it's just it's an awful story. And the minute you heard it, you're like, wait a second, what actually happened here? Because you know as well as I do that you hear a story like this, you're like, was somebody attacked? Did something else go on? It was the first thing I looked for, and I was waiting to get some info. It was just coming out. So that is the latest of what's going on there, and I wanted to get that story to you. We'll get to the holy bloody heck madness of the Wall Street Journal. Criminally insane is the Wall Street Journal. So I will get you that's what's coming next. That is what's coming next. What's going on with you, everybody? Talk to me, boo. What is it that you know? What is it that we should be talking about? You got questions. I've got answers. I'm 1,000% down. There was so much happening. I forgot to grab a cigar. I don't know what to do with my hands. You know, it's like was it Kevin Kline and is it in Dave? Look at my hands. Where's that fish called Wanda? No, not fish called Wanda. It's definitely not Talladega Nights. So that's that. All right. So that's it. So forgive me. I'm just studying right now, making sure I've got everything together. And that's it. As I thought. Okay. All right, 1 minute heard. Okay, now I'm back. Now I got it all together. Sorry, I was just studying. What's up? Jane wants to know what's up. Well, you know, I'm just a guy doing a radio show. I realized that this shirt is a little weird when I roll up the sleeves, because the interior of the shirt is a little different color than the exterior of the shirt. It's like that's a little so awkward. So maybe this isn't the right shirt for TV. I think that's all I've got. That and do these glasses make me look thin? No. That's. No one believes you, producer Landon. No one. Absolutely no one. You can't help me out with lies. All right. Friends don't lie. Brothers hug. These are the rules. That's all there is. Here we go. Coming back to the show, people. Well done. So President Trump turns to Pam Bondi, the attorney general, and says, hey, The Jeffrey Epstein grand jury transcripts, release those. You know, Mr. President, this whole thing could have been avoided with what? All you screaming at supporters and supporters saying, you promised if you had just done this from the beginning. I'll say it again for the people in the cheap seats. This was a misstep from President Trump. He doesn't have many of them. This was one of them. Tony Katz today. So good to be with you. Find it all at TonyKatz.com. During the first term, I used to discuss that the thing that drove me completely nuts about him was the self-inflicted wound, right? And I correlated it. I connected it with mixed martial arts. The idea of the leg kick. The leg kick is still incredibly underrated. So is also the body punch, but the leg kick. Very, very, very rarely does a leg kick, right? You take basically your shin and you are driving it into somebody else's thigh. And I've seen people break their legs from leg kicks. Don't get me wrong. It's gross stuff. But very rarely does a leg kick take you out, right? You hit somebody in the leg. Very rarely does the one leg kick knock them completely out. You know what does? The accumulation of leg kicks. One after another, repeatedly. What happens is when you have this many leg kicks, you can't stand up. You can't get your balance. And if you can't get your balance and you can't plant your feet, you can't throw a punch. Throwing a punch doesn't come from the arm. Throwing the punch comes from being able to be planted and turning your hip to be able to get your body and get the full force into it. That's how it works. And I would refer to President Trump's self-inflicted wounds in the first term as these leg kicks. It's the accumulation that becomes damaging. And very often in the first term, he wouldn't get out of his own way. There were plenty of results, but he wouldn't get out of his own way. And I think as many people understand it now, for whatever happened in the 2020 election, like Joe Biden got 81 million votes. Those 4 years of having to deal with the indictments, of having to deal with what the left was lying about and pushing against you, people wishing for your death, in all of that, those 4 years helped focus Donald Trump. And those 4 years have given us 6 unbelievable months. This has been insane. I almost can argue there are some things I wish had moved a little bit faster. But man, things are going. Things are moving. Things are working. And there haven't been the missteps. Right? You've got the issue with the Signal app and the conversation about the bombing of the Houthi rebels. But then you have the attack that takes out the nuclear facilities at Isfahan, Natanz, and Fordo. And you don't have a single leak. And then the left said, well, we don't know if these things were actually obliterated. Well, the reporting is coming out now. Yeah, the damage is extensive. They're not going to be making nuclear weapons there for a while. But it's Iran. They're going to try and make them somewhere. The mistakes have been minuscule at best. Matt Gaetz became a problem. Boom, you bring in Pam Bondi. Now, Pam Bondi, in my view, hasn't been great, but you were able to get her confirmed. There was deft movement right until the Epstein thing. Because you promised, and then you looked at the supporters and said, why are you talking about this? No one cares about this. And you still I've got one of these comments here in the chat room on the live stream. No one but ex-influencers cares about Epstein. This is in every way not true. This is a foolhardy statement from somebody who is desperate to say, look at me. And I, if you are insulted by that, my gosh, I have been saying much worse about a lot of other people. Promises were made. And people involved in sex trafficking can't get away with it. No matter how powerful, how rich, how anything, screw them. I want them in jail. Representative Tim Burchett, I should say, wants them dead. He said hang them. He's not wrong, by the way. President Trump handled it wrong. He handled it wrong. You said, why does it matter? It matters because there are people who are involved in this level of abuse. There are people covering these things up, and it shouldn't be allowed. It's the same idea with, well, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Well, then you show us 10 hours of video and a couple of minutes are missing. What do you mean a couple of minutes are missing? You didn't know how to check the video? You didn't know that people were going to view this like they were looking at the Zapruder film, checking every single frame, checking digital signatures? Stop. You didn't know this? For that alone, I'd fire Pam Bondi. You can't actually think you were going to get that past people? And this idea that no one cares, they may care about other subjects more. But what is this idea that we can't do two things at the same time? And what is this idea that I'm supposed to just believe the government and leave something be when part of the vote was the promise of clearing these things up? So I believe that President Trump handled it wrong, and he doubled down and tripled down where he didn't have to. And now he's saying, hey, release the stuff. The statement was on Truth Social, quote, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam, perpetuated by the Democrats, should end right now. Two things in that. First and foremost, the Democrats are not the story. They're just ridiculous. Of course they think that something's here that they can use. Now, it's not about Trump, because if Trump was involved with Epstein and in some level of files and some level of transcripts, they would have already shared it. They would have leaked it. It would already be out. And I'm not arguing that Donald Trump isn't in some of these conversations. I am stating there is not a chance he was on the island. Not a chance. Democrats wanting to use this? Well, of course. But Democrats would have used it already if they could. But we should be perfectly clear, and I hope the president knows this, that not a single person who voted for Donald Trump, not a single person, is going to be swayed to all of a sudden be supportive of Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. That's not happening. It's not happening. The issue here for the president is he doesn't like any attention taken off the things he wants attention on. But he doesn't get to make that call. The people get to make that call. You could argue that he forgot that. You could argue that there are plenty of people, including so-called influencers, who are like, the president doesn't want you to pay attention to this. You're only paying attention to this because you want to make content. We'll tell you what's serious. As I've been saying, all these people, whether they're radio hosts or whether they're political pundits, whether they're just, blogging, whatever the case may be, writing, they very much remind me of Bill Kristol 2016. They think they're in charge. I know you're in charge. That's the difference. That is the whole difference. What Alan Dershowitz said, Bonnie, who's asking the question, is that there is no Epstein list per se. Dershowitz, the lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, said what there is grand jury testimony where names were redacted. What are those names? That is, to me, the same conversation as the list. What's going to be in this? I have absolutely no idea. Is this gonna solve things? Gonna appease people? I don't know. Democrats want to make a big deal of it. Oh, the Trump supporters will not be satisfied. They don't know what's going to be satisfied or not satisfied. They don't count, because they are the people who put forth things as ridiculous as this. This is the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal is out of their freaking mind. The Wall Street Journal claims that they have a letter from President Trump to Jeffrey Epstein, written in 2003. The letter was part of a leather-bound book that was compiled by Ghislaine Maxwell. What does the letter allegedly state? The letter is allegedly some birthday wish from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. The headline reads, Jeffrey Epstein's friends sent him bawdy letters for a 50th birthday album. One was from Donald Trump. The story goes on to state in all of this that the president wrote a letter in 2003 wishing Jeffrey Epstein a happy birthday and ending it by saying, quote, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." That the letter, as it was typed, not handwritten, President Trump, or then Donald Trump, drew a figure that made it look like a woman's body on the side. And then where he signed his name, it was supposed to represent the lower areas of a woman's body. President Trump stated clearly, "I spoke to Rupert Murdoch. Caroline Levitt and I spoke to the publisher. We said the story is absolutely not true. They published it anyway. I'm going to sue the living crap out of them. I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women. It's not my language. It's not my words." Who the bloody hell believes this? I'm asking for a friend. Who in the world believes this? Who believes that this is true? Who believes that this is real? The answer is no one who is rational. You literally have to be Anna Navarro daft to think that this is legitimacy. You know who thinks that this is really damning? Chris Hayes. The guy from MSNBC? Yeah, the guy from MSNBC. Oh, well, if Chris Hayes thinks it's damning, well then, dear Lord, lock him up. This is not a story that any person of any rational mind believes. It is, in every way, the definition of unbelievable. No one. And as we are learning, the guy behind the story has a long history being with organizations. He was also, as is being reported, was behind the Stormy Daniels story. I saw someone post, I don't think the Wall Street Journal would risk their reputation to run a story like this without being able to back it up. Is that right? Because I believe people will do anything. I think what we have all learned from the past 9 years, longer than that, people will quite literally say anything and do anything to try and defeat a political opponent, to try and get a win. They'll do anything. The story is insane. And part of the problem with a story like this is that a story like this, you would think is the Democrats saying, "Oh my gosh, look what Trump did." I don't think that's what the story does. I think this story is opportunity for the political right to say, "You see, the whole thing's nonsense. Stop talking about it." But I want to know who is abusing children so they can go to jail. If you tell me that this means I can't talk about the story, people who abuse children won't go to jail. People who sexually abuse children are just going to keep walking free and doing whatever they want. That's the problem with this story. I don't think the story helps the political left. The story is criminally insane. I think this story allows the political right to say, "See, we don't need to talk about Epstein anymore. It's all just ridiculous." I don't think it's all just ridiculous. This story from the Wall Street Journal definitely is. This is Tony Katz today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, we're going to get into Stephen Colbert. Don't you worry. We're going to make that happen. Trying to see if there's any updates on the situation in Los Angeles. You have 3 sheriff's deputies dead. I don't think there is more at the moment. I'll see if there's something to offer, something to provide. I will absolutely do that. And as for the president's health, I think that story is was an important one for a bunch of reasons. We heard that yesterday in the press conference. And I'll bring that to you coming up in just a little bit. I do have a question. Has anybody done not intermittent fasting, but fasting? The idea that, you know what, a day a week, or I don't know, a day a month, you don't eat. Has anybody done that, and what has been their take of it? Like, do you actually feel better? Is there something that you do to take the edge off? And I ask because this is a weird story. I'm not gonna have time to get to it right now. It's a weird story. It's also kind of gross in how this came to be in my head, but I'll get to it. Hawkeye, dude, man, I love food too. I literally wrote a book about barbecue. This isn't about whether or not you love food, boo. This is about, I mean, maybe to this extent, it's about sacrifice, but if anybody's done it, I'd like to know your thoughts on it. Let's get back to the show here. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Let's do some stuff. It was a very interesting announcement yesterday that came from Stephen Colbert. Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. 833-468-8669. 833 got Tony. That's how you get to be a part of the show. Stephen Colbert takes to his program, and he makes the following announcement.
Oh, hey, everybody. We got a great show for you tonight. Senator Adam Schiff was my guest. We harmonized on 7 Bridges Road. What a voice. I cried. But before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. And I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair and this beautiful theater to call home.
And I'm sure that he is. What an opportunity, especially in the time frame to which he grew up, to be able to be a late night host, to put yourself in that conversation of Johnny Carson and certainly earlier in mid David Letterman. The end of David Letterman got way too political, and people like Stephen Colbert just picked up that mantle, and Jimmy Kimmel, and sadly Jimmy Fallon, although he tries to resist it, Seth Meyers, etc. The story here, when it first came out, was Stephen Colbert is leaving the Late Show. That, of course, isn't the story. The story here is that CBS is getting out of the late night business. Now, CBS has referred to this as a financial decision, meaning late night doesn't make them any money. Late night, big expense on the host, and millions and millions and millions of dollars, and you've got a staff. I think he claimed 200 people work on the show. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case at all. But they can't make any money at it. And people immediately make the statement of, well, how in the world are you going to make any money in late night TV when you start by excluding half the audience? And it's not even exclusion. You hate half of America. So half of America is absolutely not tuning in. I want to say, I don't think that argument is faulty. I just don't think that argument is complete. Because the other side of that is, what made you think the other half of America was tuning in? You cut out half of America. Now you're competing for the other half of America. You were so tight with the other hosts on other networks that it was very, very clear you guys were in levels of coordination about how things would be addressed. Nothing was different. Nothing was special. Why would I watch Colbert when I watch Kimmel? Why should I watch Kimmel? I could watch Fallon. Why should I watch any of them? I know what they're going to say. I know what they're going to do. There is not a single interesting thing. There was no competition. There was an acceptance that we'll all just get along. We'll all say the same things, and we'll all just take our money. I mean, that is what happened. That is 10,000% what happened. You eliminated half the audience, and then you had to split the other half the audience, but that part didn't matter to you because you were all after the same thing. Mediocrity. Nobody stands out too much. Nobody does too much. Sometimes you get the best joke. Sometimes the other guy gets the best joke, and that's it. That's it. Some think that what is happening here is downright duplicitous. That it's CBS, after the lawsuit with President Trump and getting quite literally smacked around. Remember, they absolutely deceptively edited the Kamala Harris video. They absolutely did these things. They are guilty in every single way. And so this is CBS giving in to Donald Trump and saying, we don't want to be a part of this at all. We're not risking it anymore. And it was Colbert just a few days ago making the statements on shame on CBS for coming to some level of conclusion with Donald Trump. This has so much dominated the political left that they are actually claiming that what they need is answers from CBS. How dare you do this? Who do you think you are? You can't cancel this show. You have to explain to us what it is that you're doing. I mean, they're actually discussing it on cable news. They're screaming about it. They're yelling about it. They are outraged. People like Elizabeth Warren are speaking out. As he mentioned, it was Adam Schiff on the show. You think America was tuning in to hear this?
If I got threatened 2 or 3 times in 20 years, that was a lot. If I got threatened 2 or 3 times in a week during first Trump, it wasn't very much. So under Trump, that has just accelerated.
Trump's responsible for the political violence. Got it. And you wonder where your potential audience was. We know it was nowhere to be found, but these people are furious. They want answers from CBS. There's a lot of stuff happening at once here. And it starts with, well, it's all changed. Content has changed. Access to content has changed. Nobody needs these late night shows anymore. You have so many places where you can get a laugh, so many places where you can get end of the day news. You don't need it. You've got your phone. Everything's there. So the decision from CBS is an accurate one, and I want to say for the record, I'll be the first person to say this. This is domino number one. Wait till you see what else now gets canceled. You've done it. They pulled the plug on late night, not on the show, but as the concept. It's over. Even Rome fell. And others will follow suit. Now, it's not easy for them because I have made the argument that late night TV acts as I don't know, it'd be the ego or the id. What it acts as is a wink and a nod to the audience. Hey, I know what we said on the news about Republicans. Sometimes we actually have to be honest, and sometimes it doesn't look good for Democrats. But with this program, hey, you know we're with you. You know we care about you. You know that we love you. You know that we're on your team. You know, hey, people in power, see, don't forget to invite us to the Christmas party. We love you. We're still your friend. We're still your buddy, right? Yeah, I know what the news guy said, but they had to do it. You know how you play the game. But this is where we tell you we're right with you, and we're never going to leave your side. It's exactly what it was, because it sure as bloody heck wasn't about ratings. No, could not have been. The market, so there, and I think that's what kept it going for the last 4 or 5 years, or maybe longer. But the money is the story, because nobody needs this anymore, and late night doesn't launch careers anymore. Late night is not going to launch the career of a comic. No, that's what YouTube is for. That's what social media does. And it all got replaced. It all got replaced that way. And so there's no value to the thing anymore. And where the value opportunity is, the value proposition is actually being engaging. And every one of these hosts decided not to be. So in order to make something work, you have to, A, be engaging to all, which means everybody gets their time in the wood chipper. Everybody can be mocked. And conversations are honest and full. The pushback is proper, but the pushback is also pushing back. The laughs are allowed to happen even when they are off color, but not rude. Knowing how to ride that line in a world of political correctness and woke nonsense is not easy. And networks are going to say, well, what's the point? Why put up with it? This decision that it's from the network isn't about, well, you gave in to Trump. But it may have been part of the calculus of this just isn't worth it for us anymore. There's no value here. There's no value to the wink and the nod to our audience, which is ever shrinking because it's being taken up by mobile devices, by online, by this live stream, by this radio show, and others. I mean, I don't know why anybody will listen to others, but, they exist. No one should shed a tear for Stephen Colbert. And no one should shed a tear when Jimmy Kimmel goes and the rest. They set themselves up for failure. They set themselves up not to have a future. They said out loud, we plant our flag to not be funny first, to not be entertaining first, to not be enjoyable first. We set our flag to be ideological first, so that our friends will tell us how great we are, as opposed to entertaining America. They purposefully, willfully, wantonly did not put America first. That's you, Stephen Colbert. That's you, Seth Meyers. That's you, Jimmy Kimmel. And yes, that's you, Jimmy Fallon. Shameful. We already know what's his name, who was following Colbert. James, I don't even know. I can't remember his name. All I know is he was in Cats, and Cats was terrible. Karaoke fun. Everything else. Pfft. You put everything else first, not entertaining. And you had to go. This is about not only the money, this is about a huge, massive shift and an admission that what was is not what will be. Maybe someone can still make late night work. And certainly, I won't lie, man, I would love that opportunity. But some things are just over. And the days of Johnny and early David Letterman, well, it was great. And I feel fortunate I got to see a whole bunch of it. But that America doesn't exist anymore. Honestly, on to the new. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. You see, that's how, if you get caught on video, you act. You don't just like drop to the floor and cover your face. Oh, I have got that story as well. Oh, so good. So good. James Corden was his name. James Corden. Couldn't remember his name. And by the way, the whole carpool karaoke thing was a great gimmick. Worked well, but it was a YouTube kind of gimmick. It wasn't late night. I'm not telling him no. I'm just saying that it's different purpose for a different audience. Let's see what else we got here. No updates on Los Angeles. But I do have this great story from Representative Brandon Gill. Gill's been good. Gill has been very good. Let's see if there's anything new here. Nope. Okay. I'll get Gill and I'll update later. How's that? Excellent. All right, there we are. See, you got to do this in the middle of the show. You got to get everything ready. Get everything together. All right. What else? What else do we know? What else are we getting into? Producer Landon, it's not all about you. I was asking the people in the chat room. Right? My gosh. I didn't know this about CBS. The Colbert Show costs more than $100 million a year to produce. How? Oh, you think it was the vaccine costumes? Nicely done, producer Landon. You redeemed yourself. It's losing more than $40 million a year. No. No way. Wow. That's crazy. All right, let's come back to the show. The CEO of NPR, the same one who doesn't believe in free speech by any stretch of the imagination, says that cutting funding to NPR is going to put public safety at risk. No, it's not. What puts public safety at risk is the head of NPR who tried to tangle with Representative Brandon Gill and just got absolutely ripped apart.
Plunder and white democracy.
I don't believe that, sir.
You tweeted that in reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
You tweeted about it. You said you took a day off to fully read The Case for Reparations. You put that on Twitter in January of 2020.
Apologies, I don't recall that I did.
Wow.
You got to love it. She put out a tweet just to make herself look good. And it's like, I don't know if I did that or I didn't. That is adorable. Well, the Congressman Gill, going full OG, after hearing this nonsense from NPR saying we're putting public safety at risk by not funding NPR, which we're not. I'm very glad we're not funding NPR. He puts out a post, a statement that says, "Hey, Mar from NPR, I decided to help you, and I wrote up your letter of resignation for you." and he posted it on NPR, kind of like letterhead. It's so good. It's brutal. And he writes, to the American people from Catherine Marr, resignation. I'm writing to come clean. The organization I've run since 2024 is nothing but a left-wing propaganda outlet. With that, I must resign as CEO of NPR, an organization I falsely presented as impartial. In truth, it has served as a vessel for one-sided left-wing activism. We've abandoned the core mission of journalism to inform, not indoctrinate. Instead, we promoted ideological narratives, marginalized dissenting views, and allowed activist dogma to masquerade as news. That betrayal of public trust rests with me. To those Americans who expected fair reporting and got filtered ideology instead, you deserve better. I hope my departure marks the beginning of a return to integrity and independence in public media. Lastly, I congratulate the House for passing a rescissions bill to claw back every penny of federal funding for NPR. We deserve it. Signed, Catherine Marr. Actually, he just printed. He's like, you just sign this. This will work. That is cold, kitten. Cold, boo-boo. But it's just another one of these examples of, we see you. We know you're frauds. The games don't work. Now, it doesn't mean that we get to rest on our laurels. You got to show up for elections, November 3rd, 2026. Oh, yeah. Got to show up. But I do love the fight, man. And of course, to those who work at NPR, I wish you the best. But I'm glad the funding's gone. I'm Tony Katz. And I don't have a personal animus against somebody who works as a producer or an editor at NPR. We might disagree politically. So what? I don't want you funded by me. I want to be funded by me. You know what? Where's my check? Why do you deserve this? You actually think you provide more value to the listener than I do? I am convinced I provide more value to the listener. I think my numbers prove it. I think my sponsors prove it. I think the people who listen prove it. I don't want you paid. Not at all. So here's what's going on. We've got more to do. Oh, that's a great story right there. That's a great story. We will get to that as well. I'm going to try and get to an audio dump. We're in the radio break right now. So honestly, smoke them if you got them. I'm glad you're here. It's going to be a few minutes. Take a stretch and we'll be back soon. Keep it right here, guys. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Glad you're here. I still forgot to grab a cigar. What the heck? I'm gonna have to make it up later. That's what's going on right there. No new news on what took place in Los Angeles that has left 3 sheriff's deputies dead. An explosion that took place at a training facility where they deal with explosive ordinances. That is all we know right now. I have that. I have got. I do have a Friday audio dump to get to. Bunch of clips that are worthy of sharing. Some new stuff out today. The insanity of Barack Obama, which is always solid. So I have a bunch of stuff. I will get to that. And if you've got questions, I've got answers. Just ask them in the chat there. You can find the chat. YouTube has the chat. But if you comment from other places, I can get there. I can see it. It's just not a total chat room. What do you mean I'm slipping? Oh, with the cigar. Yeah, it's all right. I'll survive. But I am wearing my Von Riest watch. Look at that. Look at that. That's the Einheit right there in the Victory Blue. Oh, it's a beaut. You go to Von Riest, R-I-E-S-T-E. Go to vonriest.com. Use promo code CATS. Get your discount. Incredible timepieces assembled right here in Indiana. I love them. I have a bunch, and I'm going to get a bunch more. You want to get yours. You want to go to Von Riest, R-I-E-S-T-E. Go to vonriest.com. Use promo code CATS and get your discount. Let's begin the show, shall we? So there's nothing new yet on this explosion that took place in Los Angeles. You have FBI and ATF on the scene. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. This was an explosion that took place in Los Angeles. This took place at how I would pronounce it is the Biscaylas Training Center, killing at least, that is the reporting, 3 sheriff's deputies. The Attorney General Pam Bondi confirming this horrific incident that killed at least 3 at a law enforcement training facility in Los Angeles. Our federal agents are at the scene, and we are working to learn more. Please pray for the families of the sheriff's deputies killed. The governor's office also has been notified. As the reporting goes, this was a training facility. This seems to have been, and there's no other reason to think at this moment it was anything other than a training accident, the moving of explosive ordinances from one location to another. So that is the information that we have at the moment. We have 3 dead, believed to be sheriff's deputies, that being confirmed by the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Don't have anything else, nor do I have at the moment any other photos or aerial views, including from the LA Times. I don't have anything else as to what caused this or what the scene or situation looks like. As we get more information, I will bring that to you. And you heard yesterday, we were actually able to cover parts of Caroline Leavitt's press briefing, as I try and bring it to you as often as possible, that she was very clear about something going on with President Trump, because people had noticed that his ankles were swelling. And there's actually a photo. I had not studied the photo. I don't do those kinds of things. And he's sitting, and I think he's at the FIFA World Cup event that took place at East Rutherford in New Jersey. And as he's sitting there, he's wearing black dress shoes and black socks, and yeah, they look thick. Like, it actually looks like he's got a couple pairs of socks on. It's what it looks like. And so Caroline Leavitt reads the letter that came from the White House physician and says, if you were asking, here's what's going on with the president.
On another note, I know that many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House Medical Unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here. So the president wanted me to share that note with all of you. I'm happy.
Now, there's, of course, a reason for this. First, anybody who thinks the Trump administration isn't transparent is out of their head. Right? So we know that. Check. On to the next thing. President Trump wants, at every moment, understands that a conversation like this, which, by the way, I would argue that the press was not prepared for. What they heard from Caroline Leavitt, they were not ready for. They weren't ready for him to address it, and they weren't ready for her to have the notes, the data. He took this, he did that, we checked this, we checked, boom. It's to show we're not the Bidens. Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, Biden's brother, Biden's sister-in-law, the cabinet, Karine Jean-Pierre, everybody, including that fraud Kamala Harris, hid Joe Biden's condition, his mental inability, his lack of mental acuity, the fact that he quite literally didn't know where he was anytime it was before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m. We don't hide anything here, including my fat ankles, which I'm embarrassed by because, you know, fat ankles, that's a sign that you're turning into Hillary Clinton. No embarrassment whatsoever. None. Here's what's going on. The left will utilize this because they can't help themselves because, well, you know, when you're criminally insane, you're criminally insane. To say, you see, Trump's too old. Look, he's sick. Look. And why it will fall apart is because we know who is too old. You wouldn't admit that he's too old. You wouldn't admit that he's lost. This guy will admit he has swollen ankles. So the left's argument is going to fall apart quickly, but this is how they're going to try and use it. But the key here, the purpose of this is to say, I'll let you know what's what. And the only translation to take, the only way to understand what it is that Caroline Leavitt said, if we want to translate it into basic talk, yeah, the guy's almost 80. Next. If you don't want a guy who gets swollen ankles, you know what? You're going to have to vote for somebody who's 57. Because if you vote for somebody who's 79, there's going to be swollen ankles. Now, I'll give you something else that they have not addressed. That you might not watch as many video clips as I do of the president, right? You're in your car, you're in other places, you're listening, you're getting the podcast, doing all those things, and you should get the podcast. You want to get that at Tony Katz Today on all your favorite podcast platforms. One thing you'll notice if you start watching, and they need to address this. The president, more and more, when he's being asked a question, is leaning into the question. And I think he's leaning into it because he can't hear it. And he's had a couple of times where he's like, can you Speak up. Can you say that again? Now, sometimes it is an accent and he can't catch the accent, which also is a conversation regarding age. And I've never understood why people who have a hearing loss don't do something about it immediately. And by the way, I could include my own father in this, rest his soul. What were you even doing? What was the point? You're going to get angry with me for not speaking loud enough? This is on you. Oh, there were many rough conversations. There were many. I'm not saying anything that you haven't been through, guys. I hear you. I see you. I think that, if you're talking about being near Marine One, yes, it's difficult already because you have that sound. I just think that is happening. Doesn't bother me any. I don't think the man has to be replaced because of it. Just so we're clear. But I just do think it's happening. Biden was a complete and total mess. And the press said he runs circles around the staff. The staff said he runs circles around us. America appreciates the honesty. And it's just one of the many differences between Trump and Biden. It's one of the many reasons why people are still attracted to Trump. And the want for Democrats continues to fall apart. And then when the Democrats think they've got something that's really going to attract people, turns out to be a communist in New York. Is Mamdani going to drag them down? Maybe. Right now, I think Mamdani's going to win that mayor's race, which means one more trip to New York before it all goes to hell. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Sorry. It's weird. My camera's just changing right in the middle. It's very weird. I don't know why it's doing that. You have to fix that. Gonna have to fix that immediately. Anyway, sorry about that. Back to it. Radio show is going to start in a couple minutes, getting everything ready for the audio dump. We do that every Friday because it's fun to say. Fun to say. 1 minute to the radio show. Groovy. Love that. Oh, I got a bunch of stuff. I have a bunch of stuff and not enough time. That's no good. Do I have this? Yeah, I do. Yeah, all right. You know what? I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I think I got it. I think I have it all under control. So anyway, the fasting thing. Why was I asking about the fasting thing? All right, can I tell a quick story? Here we go. 30 seconds. Dang it. I'm not gonna have time. Okay. So I had reason to have to fast for 24 hours before something medical, and I'm totally fine, by the way. And you may have done this before, where you have to clean yourself out. Okay, I've too much. After fasting for, it was a little more than a day, I felt excellent. And there's a whole conversation about giving your gut a break from digestion and everything else. And I'm like, wonder if people do this. How do they do it? And how do they feel about it? Do they do it regularly? And do they, like, what is the real benefit? Or is there something else some other way to do it? And just curious if anybody does that on a regular basis, not for days at a time, but like a day every whatever. And how does it work for you? Anyway, back to the show. So many stories, and not enough time. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. There are times where I've got so much audio to get to, and so many things that people said that I want to share with you. I don't have time to get to it during the week, and that's why I bring you the TK audio dump.
On this Feel Good Friday,
it's now time for a Tony Katz audio dump.
Yes! Yes!
Do you hear yourself?
Stay calm! Everybody calm down!
Oh my God, this is so awesome.
Pocahontas says yes.
He always does. No, I'm done now. Thank you. You can't do it twice. Those are the rules. Pocahontas always says yes. So much stuff. I'm not quite sure where I was going to start or where I wanted to start, because some of it is just purely nutty, but we'll start with this from the people over at Fox.
We've got some breaking news right now. We were watching the testimony of this woman here, Annie Tomasini. She's the former senior advisor to President Joe Biden. She was the third person set to appear before James Comer's committee. She has now taken the fifth. So the doctor, the aide to Joe Biden, and now Ms. Tomasini have all done the same behind closed doors. Now,
they won't say what was wrong with Joe Biden. They won't admit to it. This is just stellar. They all know. They did this. It was a coup. Everybody who is rational knows it. It was not Joe Biden running the country. Every single one of them is a fraud. Every single one. It is something else. Speaking of frauds, Zoran Mamdani wants you to know that prisons don't make any sense. By the way, finger on the dump button just in case, producer Landon.
Thank you. Are prisons obsolete?
Whew, coming through with the quotes, coming through with the titles of the books. I have to read that, actually. I haven't read that as yet. But I think that, frankly, I mean, what purpose do they serve?
Right.
I think we have to ask ourselves that, which is that, you know, I think a lot of people who defend the carceral state, they defend the idea of it and the way it makes them feel.
The carceral state, as in incarceration. What purpose do prisons serve? It's weird that communists would ask about such a thing when they're such a fan of gulags. Just to give you an idea of where the front runner for the mayor's race in New York is and where communists are. What is it that they actually believe? This is what they actually believe. Then there's one of the great quotes, Barack Obama showing up on his wife's podcast. Wait, maybe I have to give a warning. I'll give a warning. If you're driving, hands on 10 and 2. That's that. They say 9 and 3 now because of the airbags, but I'm a 10 and 2 guy. A fair warning was given. It was given to all.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
Mm-hmm. One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's Barack Obama letting you know that you need a gay man in your life. Any father should know that it's always good to expose your kids to adult friends and have them part of adult conversations and try and expose them to these things. These things are good and valuable, but kids need more than just their dad. You understand that what Barack Obama is saying here is it takes a village. This is still part of the philosophy, not that you need good influences and role models around you, but it's the whole it takes a village garbage. They're still doing it. And this is actually not the most insane thing I've heard today. By the way, he took a rational conversation and made it completely irrational, but no one makes it irrational like Toure, who used to have a show on MSNBC, I think it was, who is now a guest on Abby Phillips' show to just be as ridiculous as possible. And today's ridiculousness, maybe Trump didn't get shot.
About his house, so I thought that was
win. Win. That's very important. He supposedly got shot in the ear. We never heard from his doctors on that. When did we hear from his doctors? When did we hear from his doctors?
Hold on. If y'all stop screaming at the table, maybe I can actually respond.
Supposedly.
Hold on.
Supposedly.
Okay.
That's where we are now.
Hold on a second. Toure, he was shot in the ear.
Thank you for hearing that.
All right.
But we can hear from the doctors. We would always hear from his doctors.
Did we hear from his doctors?
There comes a moment, ladies and gentlemen, where you're not supposed to talk to people. It's over. Some conversations simply end, and some people aren't worth your time. I often get asked, would you interview this person? Would you interview that person? The answer is I'd interview a lot of people that you might disagree with. I'm not interviewing Louis Farrakhan. That Jew-hating, white-hating, woman-hating bigot isn't getting any of my time. Not an ounce of my time. Why would anybody put Toure on the show? Trump supposedly got shot. We saw him get shot, and a man died in Butler, Pennsylvania. Well, the doctors didn't talk to us, and they didn't say enough. So how are we supposed to know? And the look from Scott Jennings at him, like he is crazy, the look is precious. But this is how broken. This is what passes for intellectual. And I'll say it again about Abby Phillip and CNN. I don't know Abby Phillip. She had the chance to have the show, and she blew it. She didn't want it. She didn't want to do the work. I must have killed her to realize that what this guy was saying was so completely insane that even she had to correct him. Of course he was shot. Everything else is nonsense. These people are broken. And if you are so willing to engage this and pretend that it's intellectual, if you're so willing to do this, what aren't you willing to do? And that's our question. What is it that the left isn't willing to do? And the answer is nothing. There's nothing they're not willing to do. That's the takeaway. That is the Friday audio dump. More to get to. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. She could have had the show, guys. She could have had the show. Nutty stuff. Listen, you're loved, but I gotta go. It happens sometimes. I gotta run. I love that the live stream is growing. I love that the studio is working. This is pretty good. I'm a fan. I've got more comedy albums to put up here, but I may just put a sponsor thing right there. That's maybe where the sponsor goes. So sponsorship's now available. Get that done and out of the way. My thanks to Von Riest, Flederman Von Riest, the watch people assembled right here in Indiana. Use promo code KATZ, KATZ, and get your discount. Von Riest, RIESTE. Go to vonriest.com and get your timepiece today. They're incredible. I love that's the Einheit right there. This is the one in blue, but you can get it in the Nightfall black and a host of other colors. Terrific. I like a little color in my watches. I like a little. There's a sophistication that I want to keep, but there's also a little bit of personality that I want to share. So that's what I do with these. I appreciate you guys. Most definitely. I will catch you Monday. Don't forget to go to TonyKatz.com if you would, and be supportive over there and what we're doing over there. I would greatly appreciate it. By the way, this look from Scott Jennings, is that gold? Absolute gold. I will catch you all not tomorrow. Actually, I'll catch you Monday. You guys take care.